as we're just weeks away from seeing what the Pokemon Company is going to present after announcing the celebration of their 25th anniversary at the end of last year. Die-hard Sinnoh fans like myself await Pokemon Day, which is on February 27th. And that day this year is going to be pretty special because it's been heavily rumored lately to have a Pokemon Direct, which would include announcing the highly anticipated Gen 4 remakes. But to be quite honest, I'm a little concerned. After what I've seen from Sword and Shield, even the base game including the DLC, it seems a little alarming to me in the direction that GameFreak is currently going with the mainline games. So I took it upon myself to create a list of how the Diamond and Pearl remakes can either be amazing or horrible. First up, utilizing the full potential of the underground. Now in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, you had something called an exploring kit, I believe it's called, and you were able to dig underground for different stones, elemental stones, etc., and even build your own secret base. I feel the underground was only an underutilized area just because of the technical limitations of the DS, of course, but now with the Switch, how you can utilize Nintendo Switch Online, maybe somehow use the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app, play mini games in secret bases with your friends underground. There's just a plethora of possibilities and just missed opportunities, obviously, like I said, because of the DS and its time. But now that we have the Switch, this opens the door for so many more possibilities than it could before. Next, ignoring the issues that Sword and Shield had. Now, I could sit here for at least an hour explaining all of my issues with these games, but for the sake of a short video, I'll just keep it concise for the purpose of this and just give one situation in specific. So Sword and Shield is a very unstable game when it comes to FPS. For example, in the wild area, the weather conditions when you're walking, or even when you're speeding up on the road bike, as you can see here, would cause lag. Now, looking toward the Sinnoh remakes, the first situation I thought of was the weather condition on Route 217 going up to Snow Point City. So for those of you who have never played Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum before, I will show you some footage of this. So Route 217 has you walk through basically knee-high snow in a complete blizzard on the way up to Snow Point City, as I said. And assuming that Game Freak is going to bring back routes opposed to the wild area, they're going to want to keep this as accurate as possible. So I'm really interested to see how this blizzard-like weather condition is going to play out in these Diamond and Pearl remakes, because in the Crown Tundra there is snow, but it can't really sniff the blizzard-like condition of this route. So I'm optimistic that Game Freak will figure it out to stabilize this, assuming once again they add back routes, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Adding exciting legendary events. Now, assuming these remakes will go by the Diamond and Pearl story opposed to my personal favorite, the Platinum story, I'd like to see a return of Giratina's Distortion World at some point, which I think will likely be accessible post-game, similar to that of the Delta episode, which I really enjoyed from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Now, I don't think it's going to be a complete carbon copy of the Distortion World, but I think there's going to be a little bit more added onto it. Maybe another legendary, as you saw from Deoxys and Rayquaza being a part of that Delta episode I just mentioned. Also, I'd like to see them expand upon other legendary events that were pretty simplistic due to technical limitations, such as Arceus, Darkrai, Shaman, Cresselia, and many more. Seeing all of those on the current engine and Switch graphics would be a sight to see, especially the Distortion World, because I'm really interested to see what that looks like on the big screen and in HD. The return of HMs. Now, one issue that has been widely complained about in Sinnoh is that they went a little too crazy on HMs shown by this graphic here. Now, Sinnoh as a region quite honestly sets itself apart from other regions because it requires HM use to access different towns, cities, and just general locations, rather than other games where you didn't really need all HMs learned by your Pokemon in your team all at once. Now, an idea I had to substitute bringing back physical HMs is instead by utilizing Rotom, a Pokemon originating from Sinnoh, who had a very big part in Sword and Shield's mechanics instead, such as the Rotom Dex, Rotom Bike, etc. Now here's just an idea: what if Rotom changed into Fan Rotom and could blow away Fog instead of just learning the HM Defog? Now this is just an idea. I'm aware that HMs have been removed since Sun and Moon, but it would be a nice touch to keep Rotom involved in the story of the game. bringing back the national dex. Now throughout the expansion pass, GameFreak has slowly but surely been bringing back Pokemon from past generations, so it's completely reasonable to assume that they could create sprites for all of the Pokemon that exist. Now this would be great fan service to people who have kind of pushed away the Pokemon franchise based on the changes that they made in Sword and Shield, and some people are a lot more critical than I am in that they've just completely quit the games, period. So I think this would take a big step for that for sure. Although this isn't really a likely possibility considering back in November of 2019 when Sword and Shield initially came out, game producer Junichi Masuda said that there's no plan in the works to complete the national dex for the latest games, and this may be a model that the team will follow in the future, changing the fundamentals of Pokemon. Now recently there was a 4chan leak that came out that said the way that we catch Pokemon would change in the 4th gen remakes from the way that we know and love from the mainline games to the Let's Go games. Now I think this would be a huge mistake, rub a lot of fans the wrong way who have purposely avoided the Let's Go games for gameplay mechanics such as this, and to be possibly removing one of the fundamentals of this series that have existed since its origin would just be a horrible idea. I'm most definitely on the side of the fence saying that this leak is fake. Having partner Pokemon follow you on your journey. Now this first originated in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and how this would work was the Pokemon ordered first on your team would follow you around on your adventure. Now this feature did return in Sword and Shield, but for some reason you could only use it on the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. But thinking about it, technically it was easy to do in the 2D games to have any Pokemon sprite follow you around, comparing it to the 3D games where the scaling for Pokemon is a lot more realistic, maybe not the exact same, but think about Wailord, who is literally listed at a whopping 47'7", could be a little problematic to have follow you around the entire Sinnoh region. Again, I think if this feature would come back, it would have to scale Pokemon like Rayquaza and Wailord down exceptionally, but it's honestly just a nice charm and it would be cool to see in these games for sure. Locking actual post-game content behind paid DLC. Now Pokemon post-games as of late have been very lackluster, but Sword and Shield has definitely topped it for me in terms of one of the worst. Now just before I was talking about how I wanted to see more elaborate legendary events in these games, similar to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire's Delta episode. And the thing about the Delta episode is that that was no DLC whatsoever. That was just free. That was in the post game. Switching gears back to Sword and Shield, the entire time that I played through that game, it just felt like something was missing. It almost felt like an unfinished game, which was really frustrating because I normally like to play through the post games and everything. Like, of course, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you have a whole other region ahead of you. Pokemon Platinum, you can go to places like Stark Mountain to go catch Heatran, or go to the Battle Cafe to battle past gym leaders and your rival once again. Just events such as that. So when I played through the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra, I was quite disappointed because it wasn't anything that I thought it was going to be. It truly just felt like a watered down version of a post game rather than an expansion pass, which I just expected a whole lot more out of. My point is this: I don't have any issue whatsoever with DLC. However, I don't want this game to feel incomplete with pending quote-unquote post-game content when I could just go on my DS and play through Pokemon Diamond again. So just in closing, I'm just as excited as the next guy, but I do have a lot of questions about GameFreak and what is really next for the Pokemon franchise. So be sure to let me know in the comments if you agree with any of my points, and if I missed something, let me know. What is on your Gen 4 remake wishlist? And if you haven't already, be sure to click on that sub button. Our goal for this year is 250,000 subscribers. So if you'd like to help us reach that milestone, it's just a click away. But with all that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching the video. And this is PJ from the Switch Stop, signing off. Peace.